4, 3, 2, 1. Kelly Slater, we've been talking about doing this for how long?
A couple of years.
It's been a while, man.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. I'm glad we finally got a chance to do it. What are you in California for? I know you broke your foot, right?
I broke my foot real bad.
How'd you do that?
My girlfriend's from San Clemente, and her family lives there, and so we kind of live here when we're not moving around too much. So I'm just kind of here right now. I'm not competing. I broke my foot. I was surfing in South Africa about 15 months ago, and I was just on a wave that I wouldn't consider a very big wave. Nobody would really consider dangerous. And it all kind of closed out, which is, when it all breaks at once. I just pulled in the thing because I was going to sort of wash in on the rocks right where that was and change boards. And I was practicing. I had to compete in about 2 hours from then. So I was just testing out different boards. For some reason, I wasn't riding the board. I was planning on riding competition. So I was going to come in and change and switch to my normal board. And I just pulled in this wave and I kind of hesitated. Like usually you either ride those out and stay on your board or you jump off. And I was kind of between the two. And I kind of lifted my front foot off and my back foot. My leg was straight because I was kind of I think I was going to jump off. And as my leg got locked back straight, the board flipped in against the toes. And it just broke the top of my foot in half. Oh. Like immediate. Like there was.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We're looking at a photograph of the X-ray right now, and it's like every bone is snapped.
Well, what you can't see. So are you aware of the Liz Frank joint?
No.
Which is that's where the first big metatarsal comes together. So that first big joint on top of the foot there.
Why is it called the Liz Frank joint?
Liz Frank was a doctor, I think. Is what we could look this up. I think that was the person that did the original surgery, which when you used to break your foot in a stirrup back 100 years ago, they used to cut your foot off.
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah, so that was that was kind of how this sort of joint got famous. But normally what happens is those two bones right there, the first and second metatarsal, can either spread or converge one way or the other, and that's usually what a Liz Frank fracture is. I had the best of the three, which is I had a crack. You can just see on the right side of, if you go down with the cursor right there, just a little lower, there's a little crack right there on that corner up. And then the next one broke across. You can just see right there, it's cracked across. And then, so it kind of went in a line up and across the foot.
And then the other two are just destroyed.
Yeah, the third one displaced. The fourth one shattered into about 8 pieces. The doctor said he lost count putting them back together. And, you would know from injuries, the problem with when there's shatters of bone, they're not getting the blood flow. So it's not like a 4 or 5 week repair job. It's that was 9 months before that thing was back together properly.
So when they do that, how do they piece that shattered one back together again?
Delicately. And they put a mesh over. So I got to kind of figure out how to. Well, I had a plate on the Liz Frank, and then I had a plate, a kind of a bridge across the third and fourth, and so they kind of meshed it all together. And then I think I had 16 screws combined in all that.
God damn, man.
It was brutal. The problem with it was I did it in South Africa where I wasn't going to get surgery. So I had to wait for the swelling to go down for about 6 days before I could fly.
Oh, God,
because they thought the foot was going to swell too much because it was already swollen from the event. So I iced the shit out of my foot for 5 days and sat there and watched. Unfortunately, the waves were perfect. So I was sitting on the beach just watching perfect waves. It's that's as painful as the injury to a surfer. It's like watching a bunch of elk walk by in front of you and not scared of you, right?
Right.
And so I sat there because the whole time prior to me being injured while I was there for 2 weeks, the waves weren't very good. So I broke my foot and the waves got great. Oh. So I had to watch it. So that's painful for us. But so then I waited for the swelling to go down, and then it's 2 red eyes to get back. So
was there no way you could get it fixed in South Africa?
I maybe could have, but then I was probably looking at staying in Africa for a month or more, and also I didn't know the quality, sort of level of quality of a doctor I was going to get there. And I got a doctor I work with here, and I called him straight away. I said, look, it's my 4th broken foot, but I've never broken it like this. Usually it's let it heal for 4 weeks and you're surfing.
And it's all from surfing?
Yeah. And all from the same way.
Oh, really?
Really, pretty much the board going back against the foot.
Fuck.
And usually it happens when I'm, I don't know how well versed you are in surfing, but when I'm tube riding, and usually with my back to the wave, which has happened 2 or 3 times. So I'm in the wave, the lip pitches over and lands, but when that lands, it sends a shock back into the wave. Like, you know, when the lip hits flat water, that lip, some of the energy goes down and some disperses out and up, and some comes back into the tube. So if it does that and you're in the wrong spot, the board will flip into your feet. But
Oh, wow.
normally what we do is when you're backside barrel ride, a lot of times you're grabbing the rail. So you kind of have both your feet and your hand on it so you can handle that shock.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just going no hand backside, it's usually a pretty big, intense barrel. And so that lip has a lot of energy in it. It shoots a ton of force back towards you. And if it hits your board just wrong, it can flip into your foot and break it.
Do you know anybody else who's broken their foot like you, like that?
Not this bad. One guy on tour broke his foot pretty bad, requiring surgery this year.
That looks horrible, man.
yeah.
How long was it before you can walk? You're walking totally normal now. So how long has it been since the surgery?
Yeah, so I had surgery in end of July last year, and then walking normal wasn't till maybe December, January.
Wow.
December. Well, December I competed again, but I probably shouldn't have. But we were at Pipeline in Hawaii, which is, you're not doing maneuvers. It's not a small wave kind of competition. If the waves are small, I wouldn't have surfed. Since it's bigger, it's a little easier because you take off and kind of trim a straight line.
Right.
So you're kind of going straight, you know, even though you're riding the barrel, you're kind of going straight.
But are you conscious of your foot being compromised?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. That's my favorite event in the world, so I just didn't want to miss it.
But fuck, if you broke your foot again?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. But then, you know, the bones were pretty good back together then, and I could walk somewhat without pain. And if I put myself in a real vulnerable position on a wave, I would kind of maybe jump off. You know, I wouldn't really push it. It's not worth winning a contest to break my foot again. But
I'm sure.
to be able to surf Pipeline with no one out is kind of worth a little risk.
Now,